Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hmm. Morning, good afternoon. Making sure the audio is working, the stream, and yes, almost there. All right. Welcome to Heart of Life meditation. Um, Today's meditation is we're focused um, on the process that goes toward being able to, mm, yes, a meditation that is able to hold what it is and digest what it is that um, that's basically in the way of being able to realize who it is that we are at the core of our beings. And moment, changing the the heater. And so, yes, deeply inspired by a meditation structure that Sahajananda, a teacher and founder at Hridaya Yoga, that exists in Mexico, in Mazunte, Oaxaca, as well as in Longeval. I think that's how you pronounce it in France, and as well as in Romania. Um, it's a meditation. So this meditation here is, during the session, there will be a little bit of teaching as we have usually. Then there will be the meditation itself, and then some space if there's anybody that wishes to ask any questions, or to share about the experience, that we can just hold that. And yeah. And so to begin here, I'd like to um, yes, just this sense of who we really are, um, and how this relates to our current world, where, of course, my belief is just with the internet, we are now in a state where we are becoming aware of how much suffering there is and how much suffering we create in our world. And how much of that suffering is because we are, um, when we have not learned that we are connected to each other, that we are all a part of this one existence. Yeah. And it's like, how is it that it becomes easy to harm somebody else? Yeah. And of course, the moment that you are harmed, then one very quick response or one way is to try to harm. But then eventually it becomes very clear that the principle of an eye for an eye, yeah, you take my eye and then I go and take yours and we both can't see. And so at a certain moment in our lives, we will come to a point where, in relation to different kinds of suffering, they may be suffering, for example, in relationship to ourselves and the way in which we treat ourselves, or there may be suffering as it pertains to the way we're treating somebody else or a particular dynamic with somebody else. Yeah. Or we may be in a position with a tremendous amount of power where we are impacting a group of people in a in an organization or a company that we work at, or we may be in a position of power of different, with colleagues or etc. And there'll come a point where there's a possibility of like, oh, well, there's an interest that comes. I would like to I would like to end this suffering. I would like to find a way through to a life that is more at peace, that is more joyous. Yeah. And I would like to find a relief. Now, a relief that will actually create more peace in my own life. And one significant way in which this can happen is to become aware, yeah, that we are part of everything. In the moment that you really become aware of that, yeah, then it becomes like, oh, you, that I and you are not separate. I can behave as if we're separate, but we're not. I'm impacting you. Yeah. Just as you're impacting me, we are connected. Yeah. Everything that we perceive. Yeah. And as that sense of actual connection, yeah, the most natural piece that will come is a sense of, oh, well, the possibility of care. If we are connected, even with myself inside of myself, and a part of me that I don't like, or a part of life that I don't like, yeah, and maybe I need to learn. I need to learn to be different because I'm still stuck. I still I don't see how to do this differently. I don't see how to react differently. I don't see how to be able to respond differently to this situation in my work or in my life. And what is going to bring that? And one simple way is, well, you may need more information. You may need to learn something different. Yeah, you may need more information and to learn so that I can respond differently, even in this place. Yeah, that it's like, oh, I see it differently. Yeah, and how we learn and we're able to then change. Now, of course, this is very basic and foundational, but then what if there is a dimension of existence as humans where there is a more foundational way, a kind of humbleness, a kind of humility, and a kind of being in the present moment that is like a superpower where you can be like highly increase your capacity to be curious and awake. Yeah. Across your whole life, inside you, outside you, in your work, with your relationships, etc. Yeah. And that this foundational shift comes through a realization, yeah, that you are a part of everything and that you are, in a way, everything. Yeah. And and so one moment. Oh, just letting somebody into the session. But and so right there, yeah, what stands between us and being able to realize who it is that we are? Yeah. One moment. Yeah. And I'm just changing the view here. And so what stands? Because here I'm saying that it is that it's who we are. It's not some magic trick. Yeah. So, but what does it take to do this? Yeah. And what it actually takes, from my perspective, is to be able to go on a journey where you go on a quest to discover who you are so that you can become responsible for the identities, the identifications that you learn to hold, yeah, that are keeping you trapped in the loops of very specific behaviors, very specific ways of being in life. Yeah. So there's very specific identities, such as like, well, this is who I am. And so this is who Adrián is. Yeah. And yet, if I'm holding these identifications of like, this is who I am as Adrián, and I'm holding this really very rigidly, those will be the boundaries that define my capacity to relate and my capacity to act in the world. I will not allow myself to think, to perceive outside of this specific container of saying, this is who it is that I am. Yeah. And so, how much of life, as it pertains to my relationship with myself, my relationship out in the world, you could say, oh, well, also you need to learn how to act differently. Yeah. That it's like, well, I never had a chance to learn in this way or that way. But what I say is that most of the stuck patterns in our lives, yeah, what if you could experience them one time and you could then, because you had this openness, you could engage more, learn more immediately, yeah, and start to change things immediately, little by little, yeah. And so, what does it take to hear? Yeah, have that curiosity and that openness is to realize that these ideas of who it is that we are, they are just ideas, and we've been holding them as if I am this. Like I may have a history with myself of a way that I've been self-abandoning to myself. I may have a history of being a very caring person in a certain way. And to notice how if I'm holding myself rigidly, believing that I have to be a certain way or that I am a certain way, yeah, instead of being free, instead of being free and not knowing, essentially, but not knowing in a place with a sense of intimacy with life, yeah, meaning that I can feel, yeah, I can be present, and I cannot know what it is that's happening such that I am alive in the moment. And so this aliveness and this openness, yeah, because I'm holding myself as somebody who is more free because I've gone through this process of inquiring who it is that I am, and then I realized that I could let go of certain ideas. It's like, oh, am I limited by this? Is this who it is that I am? A am I a shy person? Yeah. It's like, what is that? Am I a very aggressive person? Yeah. What is that? And it's the lack of being able to be present and conscious that keeps these pieces cycling. And the way through here, yeah, in this self-inquiry of who is it that I really am, yeah, you can go in this direction of being conscious of who it is that you've been holding yourself to be, yeah, what you believe that you are. And in that process of I'm realizing, oh, this is who Adrián is. Yeah. All the ideas that I hold about myself. I practice being able to become responsible for being the space that holds this, whatever part of my life where I experience suffering, such that I'm able to just hold it, to feel it, yeah, and to include it so that I can live whatever it is that, just this, if I'm holding kind of like a behavior of mine, yeah, or I'm holding a particular relationship and a particular dynamic, that I'm literally able to increase the sense of awareness that is able to include that experience and include the feelings that are there, yeah, and the thoughts that are there, so that I don't have to be stuck in that reactive pattern and I can learn to include this differently. Yeah. Now, the most foundational shift as it pertains to this is when it happens as it pertains to who you live yourself to be. Yeah. Not just an idea that you have about the world and then, oh, I changed a belief, but am I able to free myself? Yeah. Am I able to free myself as the person that I am so that I'm not stuck following all kinds of unconscious rules? Yeah. So through this self-inquiry process, and part of what it is that through asking this question, who am I? It's a process of being able to bring a sense of awareness, yeah, a sense of wonder, curiosity, an actual openness to try to get to know, yeah, and a willingness to experience and to feel whatever it is that's there. Yeah. That's what it is that it takes, a kind of openness, a directionality to question who I am in a loving manner. Try to do it in a rough manner, and see what happens. Try to do it in a loving manner. The curiosity. Yeah, an inquiry. Who am I? With a sense of wonder. Who am I? Towards an intimacy with where that sense of I, the core of you, who I am, who I identify as. Yeah. To go towards that, to bring your awareness there. Who am I? And to let whatever content is there to come up into the light of the present moment, into the sense of awareness. Yeah. Because the process is, oh, I'm going to see something that maybe I don't like. Yeah. Might have feelings because I'm doing both the self-inquiry towards what it is that who it is that I am, but I'm also practicing having the intimacy by feeling the sense of intimacy with my being. Yeah, with who it is that I am. So I'm feeling intimately. And I'm being curious as to who it is that I am. And little by little, opening the space to decriminalize ourselves. Yeah. From all the ideas, including the piece around being identified with our thoughts, overly identified. We clearly think, yeah. But if I'm imprisoned thinking that I am my thoughts all the time, I think something and then I may experience some suffering because I was thinking about this and then I went over here and our mind goes on all kinds of ways. And if I'm submerged in my thinking, I can't control my thinking. I'm just thinking this and then this and then this. But if there's more space, I can simply observe my thoughts and I can no longer can create that openness there, yeah, and that spaciousness to be able to wield thoughts rather than to be controlled by them. And similarly with your feelings, yeah, and your experience with your body, yeah. So it's this process of becoming intimate with whatever is actually in here, yeah, to be able to hold it and to be directed to the core, yeah. Because the core is where that has the most power, the compass that has the most power. And to include. So it's this practice to include whatever thoughts, feelings, little by little, in the direction of surrendering. Yeah. To the heart, through the heart. Yeah. To the core here. Okay. In that process, it really does take the willingness to feel. Yeah. And to become incredibly interested in this purpose. And this is, from what I shared earlier in this lecture, these teachings, is that this is the most powerful, yeah, like locus of power as it pertains to the cessation of suffering in human lives. Yeah, in terms of the sense of the once we're adults, once we have enough agency, this step that we can take to be responsible for the being that we are. Yeah. Okay, and so this meditation is going to be guided and we're about to start. So let yourself make any adjustments that you have. We're about to go into the meditation and it'll be a guided meditation so you can relax. Yeah. This process of surrender and inquiry, yeah, self-inquiry, and intimacy, and just letting go to a place of accepting. Hmm. To begin, I will be reading a poem, an anonymous poem that's been just with me these past weeks. I read it sometime recently in another meditation too, I think. Um, it's an anonymous poem on the theme of silence and what actually lies inside of when we really are more free and we're able to release. Yeah. To be, to just be, and what opens up. And it starts. Silence vibrating is creation. Silence flowing is love. Silence shared is friendship. Silence seen is infinity. Silence heard is adoration. Silence expressed is beauty. Silence maintained is strength. Silence omitted is suffering. Silence allowed is rest. Silence recircled is scripture. Silence preserved is our tradition. Silence given is initiating. Silence received is joy. Silence perceived is knowledge. Silence stabilized is fulfillment. Silence alone is. Anonymous. Thank you to the being who wrote this. We now turn to begin our meditation, flavored by these words, allowing for a quieting, allowing the sound of the bell to recollect the diversity in you into this present moment. We gently first allow for the exhale to accept yourself exactly as you are first. Inviting the awareness to simply be present and to be intimate with what it's like to be you right now. Gently allowing the breath to be an anchor with the sensations in the chest in the center of the chest. Noticing the rise and the fall. The pace. This moment of retreat to allow you to be here with the courage to sustain the curiosity, including the uncomfortable, the undesired, in support of this revolution that includes life first. The courageous step to include and to be present. To be willing to feel. Simply anchoring there with the sensations in the chest. Allowing the mind to find this dancing partner that is the sensations in the chest, no matter how entertaining or constricted, whatever they may be, if possible, simply to include, to rest, being invited into this present moment. And in case the thoughts are too loud, we will focus first here on the sensations of the breath to ground the mind, being curious to notice the intimacy of the sensations of pausing between the inhale and the exhale. These little resting periods. Inhale, and there's a tiny pause. And then, so simply noticing the beginning of the pause and the end of the pause, however short, and you can exaggerate the size of them a little bit if that helps you engage, but simply with the intimacy of the sensation of these pauses, the sensations in the center of the chest. Curiosity, curiosity for sensation that indirectly gives a task to the mind so that we can practice resting in these pauses. To invite the practice of being present. Letting yourself feel what those pauses feel like. To become curious of the texture. And there's a quiet stillness and to let yourself feel this space, these pauses are something you can always come back to. Close to the ground of your heart. Simply allowing any feelings and any thoughts that might be here, like a magnetic force that pulls towards resting alive in the present moment through doing nothing, but being. And if you wish to engage the sense of the intimacy with yourself, now we can explore asking this question that is not here for to answer logically or rationally. Is simply this curiosity and this wonder, this directionality towards discovering more and more of who you are through asking the question, who am I? Allowing the sense of I, that feeling that is deep in the core of your being, the me, I, to go towards intimacy, to feel. intimacy of connection with that sense of I, to both feel and be felt. Who am I? Making space, permission to be, to feel whatever is right here in your chest. There may be layers of protection from feeling, thoughts, feelings, and if so, simply becoming the space anchored in the present moment with the sensations in the chest, becoming the space that is able to include whatever thought or feeling standing on the ground of this present moment in the chest, including any thoughts or feelings, consciously including, and allowing yourself to feel. At any moment where there may be a sensation of stuckness, you can also use the sensation of the breath in the chest, the inhale and the exhale that is gently, naturally there, to give greater permission for whatever it is that is near that sense of I, deep in you. The exhale, like a blowing on an ember in your heart, in your chest. That every inhale and every exhale is this breeze that caresses and welcomes the acceptance of whatever experience is right there, however stuck, whatever suffering is there, or there may be a sense of connection and love, and simply that you can use this gentle inhale and exhale to bring a sense of acceptance and inclusion, to include what's right there in the nearness of who you are. Resting in the intimacy with who I live myself to be. whatever identity is here, to bring it to the surface of the conscious awareness without having to do anything, simply accepting with the light of awareness and the light that becomes available through the willingness to feel. Who am I? A wonder, a curiosity, an intimacy. More and more freedom to simply be exactly as you are, including the comfortable and the uncomfortable. The intimacy with that sense of I. And there may be identities here tied to your work, to your relationships, to your performance, to your behaviors. Allowing space for that feeling that you can be you. Meaning, if you were to say me or I internally, and it's something in the core of your being is in the affirmative, in the yes, I am here. Allowing for that sense of yes to support the intimacy and the realness with the contents of who you currently identify as. The contents of your being. Any places where you may be holding on to ideas about yourself, expectations, that may be getting in the way of being present and intimate and alive. Learning to rest in this most courageous vulnerability practice. Being intimate with what you hold as who you are. And how intensely you might be holding these ideas, and where you might be also free, unencumbered, being able to host and be present and free. Who am I? inviting intimacy with presence. A little more alive, a little more sovereign. Gently allowing for this intimacy, for this capacity to include the insides of you a little more with space. We allow the sound of the bell to gently welcome the inclusion of the rest of our life, the next, what we open to after this meditation, to include it from this sense of including this intimacy and this self-awareness. I am first, a little more, and from there I relate more. With a few deeper breaths, allowing for your body to feel yourself in your body. And as you open your eyes, if you open your eyes, just to be very gentle about including that sense of internal intimacy, maintaining that sense of internal intimacy while including also the visual field. You may wish to write or to simply jot down, and you can put it also in the comments, in the chat, whether you are here on Zoom or on YouTube, of anything that you learned or any questions that you may have. Yeah. And I'm happy to be here to support anybody who wishes to share. Also, if you have questions or something came up that you want to be presenced. Mm-hmm. I'll say, just as final words then here, is that this process of this intimacy, it takes a tremendous amount of courage to become responsible for this dimension, yeah, of what's in here from where we are being. And that the ground that exists inside is one of connection. Like when you have felt yourself in your deepest joys in your life. Yeah, joy, that great freedom. Imagining that feeling as who you are at the base, the foundation of your being. Yeah, from which you can include all kinds of thoughts and feelings and different things, and how this can bring a sense of greater freedom. Freedom. Hmm. Yes, there's a comment here. I feel very calm and present. Thank you for a beautiful meditation. You're very welcome. Yeah. From this calmness, yeah, this is a powerful resource from which more life can be included. Yeah. And so, from this awareness, and if you're going towards your sleep, which you may be, that you can simply include yourself more with more and more awareness as you go towards that. Um, Thank you for coming. I am in the process of also, I'll be seeing what it is that I do. It's unclear whether I'm doing a meditation next week. I'm going to be switching up the offering to try to offer this support to more people. And so after now a year of doing these meditations, it's I'm going to be taking some steps to simply try to make this available to more people, which may be a a little bit more structured container, possibly a like a circle or a group space that I hold that includes that is more of a regular space that will be through a subscription process. Um, and so I also named that I'm beginning a healer's lab for those who are interested in um, that you may be a healer in your life and you may be familiar with my own work and the way that I bring healing into the world through attunement and presence, that there will be a space inside of which, like a consultation space, a place where healers can participate, sign up for these meetings that will likely be happening in the mornings of Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific every other week, very likely. And then there to ask any questions and be supported to be the healer that you are, to learn and develop. And yeah, so if you have any questions about this, you're welcome to reach out to me. You can see my website at adrianlove.com, and there's my contact info. And um, yes, so these offerings coming and more offerings, finding the way to bring this work to more and more people. All right. Well, I wish you a beautiful day, evening, wherever you may be. Thank you for coming. May the fruits of these actions, these actions and the fruits of these actions be of loving impact to more and more life, to include the awareness that we can live lives that can include all beings, more and more, all beings. Thank you. Until next time.